Welcome to Change the Narrative. I'm your host, JD Fuller.
I'm Susie Younger,
an African-American licensed psychotherapist.
I'm also a licensed therapist.
We talk about the isms. We talk about the phobias, anything that marginalizes and oppresses.
As a white woman, I ask the questions white people are too afraid to ask.
Everything we are not and everything we are is because of fear.
Through a mental health lens, Susie and I will have difficult conversations with celebrity guests, political activists, and everyone in between.
Our mind will tell us whatever we want to believe, but the truth lives in the body, and that's where change occurs.
Are you ready to change the narrative?
We are so excited for our guest today. In fact, I haven't seen JD this excited in quite a while. We have George Lee, known as Conscious Lee. Conscious is an activist, an educator, a social media sensation, a consultant, a speaker, a podcaster, a family man, and a transformational icon. He holds a bachelor's in African and African American studies and master's degrees in both human resource and diversity development. I love this. He's a self-described edutainer who mixes education with entertainment to be purposely provocative. Welcome.
So happy to have you here, Conscious.
Yes, I'm happy, y'all. I feel honored.
Oh man, that's real nice coming from you.
Here.
So I want to start off by having you talk to me about the work you do. For example, if you had a mission statement, what would it be?
My mission statement would be sprinkling edutainment, where you get education and entertainment and engagement together. That's about kind of thought, spurring critical thoughts, honestly.
Yeah.
Critical thinking. That's like critical thinking, edutainment for critical thinking. Whether we critically thinking about race, class, gender, ability, or sexuality, or you want to do it about politics, the economy, or society, or you want to do it about history. I just like to be edutaining with whatever topic or issue I'm dealing with. And I like to try to show I have a wide range of being able to go and talk about different perspectives, different issues.
Totally it makes sense. And I love it. It sounds great. So the next thing is, you are a powerful voice on social media. I mean, you're in the game. And so I want to dive in and talk about white fragility, racism, white supremacy. You start.
Man, I start with white supremacy and how most of our society is kind of embedded and structured by white supremacy, and that there are many levels to white supremacy. A lot of our society think that when you say those two words together, it automatically means that somebody's burning a cross in a front yard, or somebody's having a sheet over their head. I think that when you break down to the most simplistic terms of white supremacy is the superiority of whiteness and white people, I think there is a lot of ways in which it's in our television, a lot of ways in which it's, in our history, with this in our curriculums, a lot of ways that it's within how we are entertained. And usually when you have a conversation of white supremacy, where you're trying to identify white supremacy, where you're trying to define how it operates, white fragility usually follows. You know what I'm saying? And what we know about white fragility is defined simply as just the aggressive, defensive, argumentative ways in which, white people typically, how they react when faced with racial stress. And I know that the terminology, white supremacy in itself, in many instances triggers white fragility, because it's something that it's really taboo. I'm keeping the stack with you. You feel me? It's like when I know if I go to a diversity and inclusion workshop and I drop the word white supremacy, a lot of people feel like that's a word that should not be used in there because it's not a safe word.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And usually, and then what was the other word you used?
I think you hit them all. You said white fragility, racism, and white supremacy. I mean, at this point, I pretty much dropped racism and I just call it white supremacy. And my thing is racism is white supremacy. They're too closely related to separate the two. And you're right. You're absolutely right that people respond so intensely. In a class that I teach, you know, it was a racism class, and basically it's actually called something else, but pretty much about racism. And the thing is that, you know, the kids became so, not kids, adults became so emotional at the idea of owning racism, because that's my thing, is that white people own racism, just like men own their privilege, you know, what do you call it, the hierarchy, you
Yeah,
know,
well,
white people
straight
own
people
racism.
own heteronormativity. It is what it
Exactly,
is. The sky's
exactly,
blue. 2 + 2 is 4.
exactly.
And damn it, if you a man, you own patriarchy. Don't try to run away from it. Don't try to ignore it. Don't try to act like you ain't. And we know.
That's what I'm saying. So your whole idea is like, you own it, embrace it, and figure out what you got to do about it. So I appreciate that, what you said. So gaslighting is a topic I've heard you respond to repeatedly. My God, you could do a gaslighting, what do you call it, workshop alone. Talk to me about it. Explain what it is and what it triggers in you when you have to constantly repeat and talk about gaslighting.
Man, to me, my understanding of gaslighting comes from domestic violence and how abusers typically deploy different tools against the person they're abusing. And for me, how I look at gaslighting is just, if you doing what I'm gonna, for lack of better terms, if you're doing sucker shit to me, and I'm trying to call you out for being a sucker, and you trying to get me to question my reality in a way that makes it where you don't have to be held accountable for doing what you're doing, to me, that's like gaslighting.
That is.
And when I think about different ways that I'm called a race hustler or victim or victimization, you name it, to me, all these are terms that are being kind of normalized as being like, this is a acceptable way to racially gaslight people of color, especially Black people. And I think that when you think about gaslighting, it's usually done in a way to keep power invisible, not touched, not dealt with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you want to come to me and talk to me about a particular type of oppression, I'm gonna gaslight you and say, JD, have you really do you really know about that though? How do you know that's really happening? And to me, this is what I know about. I feel like one of the people that I was really impacted by here, you know what I mean? Black History Month, R.I.P. Huey P. Newton. Huey P. Newton said that power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. He said that power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. And that's one of the quotes I live by. So when it comes to gaslighting, I'm all hands on board when it comes to defining that phenomenon so we can make it act in a desired manner. And I know, just being an educator and talking about power and speaking truth to power, there are different ways that's been normalized: race, class, ability, sexuality, that make it where I'm gonna gaslight you. I'm gonna say what you going through, or say what you said is made up. I'm gonna say it's really is you. You say it's structural, I'm gonna say it's individualistic. You say it's this, I'm gonna say it's your fault. Victim blaming and stuff like that, you know.
That's it. And the other thing is that this idea that I didn't know, that's another one of my favorites. You know, when white people say, you know, I didn't know. And it's like, there's so much information out there to know. You're choosing not to know. And this
the debate coach in me just want to flip it and be like, damn, the privilege of not knowing.
Yes.
The privilege of being able to embrace not knowing.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
Like in my hood, where I'm from, we never get to use not knowing as as plausible deniability. As a matter of fact, the law enforcement gonna look at us like, well, damn it, how you don't know? Well, you gonna learn today. You know what I'm saying? So to me, just the idea of not being able to know something, or being able to use ignorance as a justification for action, is never. I feel like in all Black and brown communities across the world, not even just America, get to have the ability in a excuse to be like, I didn't know.
Right.
Nah, that's a
imagine that. What would that be like, huh?
What? Definitely. I didn't know, officer. Exactly. Well, I didn't know I was supposed to put that on the application.
Right. No, that's so true. And you know, the challenge of really trying to get the oppressor to understand the power of that. That is a tool. That's a weapon. That's not even a tool. That's a weapon. The ability to say, I didn't know, I don't know. Can you tell me more about that? That's another one of my favorites. I know you said this, but can you tell me more about that? No, I told you what I'm going to tell you. You figure out the rest. You know, I gave you a little bit. You go there on your own and figure out the rest.
Hey, but to me, I think that power is always operating off of a paradox
Yes.
or off of contradictions. You know what I'm saying? It's usually the people that's saying, "Can you explain?" Usually, the people that's asking for more labor is the same people that like to use the idea of folks being lazy to weaponize it. You
Man,
feel me? So
that's
racially, you're gonna say I'm lazy. As a black person, you're gonna say black folks is lazy. But when it comes to learning about the black experience, or you know what, learning how you're implicated in the black experience, you think it is cool to be lazy and make me do more labor and make me do more work. But you
Yeah.
want to call me lazy for
Yeah.
not doing labor and not doing work. It's like make it make sense. It don't make sense. And I
Oh,
find that usually oppression and power works off of those irrational contradictions.
I mean, that's just fire. That's all I can say to that. That's just fire. Um, so here's the other thing. Let's talk about black censorship. And the fact that you're not verified yet, that's I'm out of words for that. That's
Yeah, but
just
it is what it is, though.
yeah, but that's black censorship. I mean, we got to name it.
Yeah, I
You're
agree. But to me, it makes
censorship
sense
huge.
though. You feel me? Like to me, it makes sense, man. If I don't make content that's gonna be consumable and palatable for middle of nowhere Bob that live in middle of nowhere Iowa, then my content is gonna be like, to me, that is the way that content is measured. We're gonna see how palatable and consumable your content is if it can be consumed by middle class white America. And if your content gonna be making any people from a consistent pattern of making people feel uncomfortable, even if it's justifiable or educational, we're gonna censor that. And I just think that because of, at this point, I'm just merely a social media sensation
Right.
that teaches. I don't see any social media platform stepping out on a limb to quote unquote legitimize or give credibility to my teachings, because it'll be too much on their brand. Because
Right.
at this point, it's our business. You feel me? We are branding out here. And it's like, what would it mean for a TikTok or for Instagram or for Twitter to verify the race baiter,
Yeah,
the race hustler, the victim?
it's crazy.
And I know that, you know what I'm saying? And I know that TikTok can't tell me that. I know that legally they can't tell me, hey, consciously, if you can tone it down and tap dance a little bit more, maybe we can verify you. But as long as you keep on making our main consumer base feel uncomfortable, Negro, we're going to send you merch and gear and say thank you, but we ain't verifying that. And that's just what it is. You feel me? It's like define the phenomenon, make it act in a desired manner, and that's the phenomenon right there. It is what it is.
I love your attitude about that. The idea that it is what it is. It still pisses me off.
Oh yeah, it pissed me off too. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna cap. It do irritate me, but it is what it is though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's just, you can have everybody doing every dance they want, any way they want. And before you know it, they're verified. But you have somebody, these same people who put up the Black Lives Matter banners all over social media, they don't really want Black lives don't matter, and they don't really want justice. They want it to stay the same.
man,
And
it's like
that's the
black
truth.
culture matters.
Black,
It's like
yeah,
black
appropriation.
culture
Wait,
matters.
wait, appropriation matters. 'Cause
Well,
if you're
oh
not
yeah, that's what I say, and that's what they appropriate
You know what
the
I'm saying?
the culture,
Yeah,
not
because
the lives.
exactly, because if you're not here, there's nothing to appropriate.
Because
So
what something I got into when I was in college, right, was called Afro pessimism. Are you familiar with Afro pessimism?
I'm not.
Man, Afro pessimism is a literature base that a lot of different people, Dr. Cydia Hartman, Dr. Jared Sexton, Dr. Frank
Okay.
Woodison, they talk about Afro pessimism, and it's pretty much just an analysis about how our society, they say civil society, how civil society is structured by anti-blackness, right?
Yes.
So Afro pessimism is really just being able to talk about anti-blackness in more ways than some. And that's
got it.
I got through reading. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that I was reading and kicking ass with when I was a college debater. And the conversation we having right now, it makes me think about how like black production, black labor gets separated from black flesh.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just like from a country southerner standpoint, it's like everybody want to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga. Or, you know what I'm saying? Imagine if the world loved black people as much as it loves black culture. And to
Yes.
me, that is about the way that we're able to literally separate our flesh from what we create.
Yes.
And make it where black culture, like you said, we can dance, we can sing, we can do all that, you know what I'm saying? But the mere producers of the culture is not respected. To me, it's kind of like the exposes the contradiction of capitalism. So you're supposed to be able to benefit from the fruits of your labor. But what does it mean when you have communities that is never able to fully benefit or be even the main beneficiary of the fruits from their labor? That's anti-blackness. That's literally like the extrapolation, the fungibility, the accumulation of blackness and black people. It's like, hey, dance.
Yes.
Shut up. I
Yeah.
love to hear the music from your reality, but I don't want to hear you talk about your reality. I would love to dance to your reality, but I don't want to hear you giving the analysis about your reality. I would love to talk about all of the great things that you get from your dancing in your reality, but you better not get into the political, you know what I'm saying, implications of reality. And that's, to me, that's what it is. Like that's the accumulation of fungibility. That's to do what you want to do, how you want to do it. But when I say,
I'd add one layer to that. That's genius. I'm surprised I haven't heard the name before, but that's exactly what we're talking about. And I want to add another layer to that. The idea that what are white people so afraid of? That black people will have the power one day and we'll treat them the same way that they've treated us. That's another layer of that separation.
oh yeah,
Right.
that's
If
the
you,
libido economy right there. That's that's the feelings and the desires and the emotions of the economy of racism that we don't like to talk about that much.
no,
We talk about the political economy of racism, how we make money, the material reality of racism. But we don't want to talk about the metaphysical symbols. It's like we think about slavery and how it made money, and think about like, yeah, it makes sense why they were racist because it made money. We don't think about the mere enjoyment of the slave master got from whooping the slave. There is no economic, you know what I'm saying, to be gained from that. But there was a type of libido, emotional, you feel me, gain that was done there. The same as if you think about now, you know what I'm saying, when a black person is murdering in the street, there is no economic gain from that. But there is a libido, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna lynch you and then I'm gonna show you everybody the examples. This could happen to you. To me, like, we don't get into that part of it. And that's what you're talking about right now, that other level.
exactly. And we had a police officer who was on our first show, and he talked about that. He talked about the addiction to violence in the police department. And that speaks to it right there. It's like there's even gangs in the police department, and they're counting heads, and they're doing all this shit. Tell me how somebody doesn't know it. And it's because the KKK, they don't wear hoods anymore. And so the idea is that and it manages the injustice system. So speak on it.
I mean, I feel like being a black person and knowing about the history that I know about, especially being a black male that is now starting to gain a little bit of influence and a little bit of attention. Excuse my French, but a nigga really got to be careful.
Yeah, no lie.
How I give analysis, especially when it comes to police and policing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you identifying the psychological, sometimes the ability to be like, I'm addicted to violence. I have the power to rationalize the violence that I'm addicted to, and therefore I can justify waging this violence on whoever I want to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And because I recognize that, it's just like, that's just, to me, it's just a part of our system. It's a part of America. Our capitalist system is built on policing, but policing to protect property. And I think that black people have a very complex history and complex relationship when it comes to policing, because we are the non-human property that's policed, that's also protected, that's also policed. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that I just be careful with it. You feel me? Like, now that I got a couple more 1,000 followers, a couple more, I don't know who listening to this. You feel me? So to the Black Messiah and Judas coming out now, hey, potentially to the CIA, FBI, whoever got my file, I don't want no smoke at all, man. I'm just a teacher that like talking about interesting shit that got to do with race, class, gender, ability, sexuality, and deal with power. I ain't trying to do nothing. Police on, I'm going to conform to it, because, they're trying to use a recording, you feel me?
Hell yeah.
Hey, listen, if I ever run into the law, let this recording be an example.
Sure.
I'm going to say, yes, sir, no, sir. And they going to say, jump. I'm going to say, damn, I don't feel like jumping, but I'm going to jump. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure, I want to say that very clearly, because they'll try to paint, you know what I mean, a recording like me in recording, and they'll be the reason why my dreads all over the, you know what I'm saying, goddamn pavement, because they're gonna justify. So let me just say that clearly. I think, you know what I'm saying, the police get to justify and use their power to do whatever they want to do personally and say that's what they was doing from a police political standpoint. But I recognize that, hey man, you got the power, I don't. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm just going over there.
That's the thing that people don't understand about being Black in America. You know, they don't understand that we know the rules. We've been trained since birth.
Come
You're
out the
light
womb.
skin, you function this way. You're dark skin, you function this way. You working it for the man, you do this. Like white people can't imagine the burden, you know? And my white friends, when I talk to them about something, they're like, well, doesn't it piss you off? It's like every day. But what? You know, like then what? It's like you got to find a way to deal with the reality. You know, that's the painful part. You just have to figure out how to deal with it. What do you think of Biden's move to what did he do with prisons? Privatize, start to shake up the privatization of prisons, the new slave system.
So you know me, my motto was education is elevation, and it's always research over me search. You feel me? Like, I think that he got great intentions. I think that it's gonna be some Black people that's gonna be impacted in a great way by him, you know what I'm saying, outlawing private prisons, federal private prisons.
Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme of things, if I was to Google right now, the percentage of private prisons in the prison economy is less than 0.25%.
Really?
Oh yeah, look it up right now.
I
Google
didn't
it.
know that.
Google it up right now. Google it. Oh yeah, it's good. And to me, just understanding from a political standpoint, I would hate for one to be able to garner more of a net benefit on an impact that doesn't. It's not really there. I'm a debate coach. I'm a debater, right? So it's like I would hate for if I was on a negative to have an affirmative that tried to say they have an advantage and an impact they can solve, and they really not, and they really overreaching, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, don't get me wrong, listen, there are a lot of Blackness, a lot of folks I know that's fed, that's doing fed time right now, you know what I'm saying? And I know that, you know what I mean, they're impacted by it. But we're talking about structural change,
right?
It's not much, you know what I'm saying? And to me, I think this is the reason why we have to really be like Huey P. Newton, think globally, act locally, and always try to define these phenomena, because we see right now that the Democrats and liberals will be able to garner a little bit more than what they actually doing. And I think that it's time to always be critical. The same political fire that was burned up under our ass from 2016 to 2020, keep that same energy, that same fire from 2020 to 2024. You know what I'm saying? It should be the new norm of being politically aware of who's using our tax dollars and how they're using it. I don't give a damn how radical you claim to be. If you know that if you know you 3 times more likely to go to the jail, you need to worry about who running your county jail. The county jail ran by the sheriff. The sheriff is an elected position, so we need to keep the same energy. But we know that this is making sure we clear. It's only, I think I want to put a percentage and say like 12 to 13% of privatized federal prisons. But I guarantee I would put my salary, next year's salary, and every all the money it's less than 25% of prisons that's private. So it's just like, I don't know the implication you finna claim. It's good, but you better not say it's more. You better not say we should celebrate like it's 10 and it's really a 5.
I feel you. I think that's great information. I didn't know it was that little.
Yeah, it ain't a lot.
And you know, I feel like I'm too old to celebrate every little move that they do. I really need to see something. I'd like to see a lot more, to be honest with you.
Hey, Afro pessimism though is about, like, Afro pessimism is, this the part of this type of stuff that get me in trouble right here. Mm-hmm. But Afro pessimism, the literature base is about abandoning hope in the world as it exists in terms of how it is structured. So when you talk about celebrating, you know what I'm saying, or putting too much symbolic, you know what I'm saying, value into these small temporal gains, one will be able to argue that from an Afro-pessimist standpoint, that is the flinch. You know what I'm saying? Afro-pessimism say we have to do a paradigmatic unflinching analysis.
Yes.
And every time you want to say, yeah, that was good over there, you flinching. That make it where you can't do that paradigmatic unflinching analysis where you see that Black people are always positioned as socially dead, where we always getting gratuitous violence. And that's the way that civil society is structured, and the way that it progresses is through the suffering of Black people. You know what I'm saying? And that make you, you know what I mean? That's how you're able to have such, I guess, a dogmatic analysis about the world. You know what I'm saying?
You know, there's this, I don't know, I hate these left right things, but it's kind of like this, you know, new revolution. I know they're not new, but they're coming at it pretty hardcore. This younger generation of, I don't vote, I'm not going to vote, there's no reason to vote. What we have to do is dismantle the system, and we have to do this, that, and the other. What are your thoughts on that? How is that helping us?
I just came out of being one of them young folks that used to think like that. And they used to be like, I'm invested waist deep in it, and I'm ready to debate anybody about this and about why any type of register in the system is a re-legitimizing of the system, and the system is really legitimate because it's illegitimate because it's structured by native violence and this, that, and the other. I used to be one of those people to make that argument. I think that you have to be able to kind of, to me, think about the word pragmatically, honestly. You know, you feel me? It's like I do agree, you know what I'm saying, that the system is structured and fundamentally not flawed, because if it was flawed, that means we think it's supposed to function a different way. It's functioning the way it's supposed to function. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But shit, I can't lead no revolution if I'm, you know what I'm saying, if I'm in the county jail. You feel me? So go back to what I just got through talking about. It's like if I'm sitting in the county jail, I can't go give my information and go try to, you know what I'm saying, educate the masses. So I still got to have some type of mind frame, at least to be able to think about the local elections and how locally my life is impacted by the people in power that get the determine how much food stamps I get, determine how much child support I pay, determine who's patrolling my neighborhood, determine whether my streets is getting this way, determine, you feel me? If I care about what type of breakfast and what type of lunch my kids eating, or my people eating in my hood, I better care about who running the superintendent. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, I think you got to be able to eat gum and walk at the same time, but also recognize that we all can't do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? When I think about the American Revolution, I think that everybody wasn't trying to be a Minuteman. Everybody wasn't trying to be like Samuel Adams. You feel me? And one of the great fallacies of white supremacy, in my opinion, is to make it where we all seen as a monolith, not only position in terms of human, but also in terms of methods. You know what I'm saying? We all can't be Malcolm X, and we all can't be Martin Luther King, and we all can't be, you know what I mean? So in my mind, it's like more hands on deck is good. And recognizing and embracing a multiplicity and strategy. You feel me? We can't have everybody at the front door. We can't have everybody at the back door. We need to have some people knocking on the door and smiling and cheesing. Hey, how you doing, white people? We like you. We need to have somebody banging in the back door too. Yeah. We also need to have some, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, we need to have multiple people doing multiple things. And this idea that we all got to debate each other on what we all should be doing, to me, it's ineffective. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's ineffective. If anything, the best thing we can do is recognizing that we all need to be doing different things and have a debate on who should be doing what.
I love
That's what I think. You feel me? In terms of strategizing, resistance, methodologies, it's like, hey man, we all can't be Barack Obama. You feel me? We all can't be Kamala Harris. Some of us got to be, you know what I'm saying, the person that's seen as being uncredible, or the person that's seen as the devil, the demon. You feel me? That's this. It is what it is. Yeah. The question is, when do you be that person? And who gets to determine when do you be that?
Yes. And
that's to me, that's what a better conversation is at.
Well, that's the missing piece, right? You know, because we're spending so much time at each other with, we all should be doing this, we all should be doing that, instead of figuring out how to have these layers of what.
Gotta have layers.